How does one from SPJMR Mumbai goes to Luxembourg and works over there?
I applied a lot of jobs, applied for 300 odd positions, had a call back from three companies. That was the conversion ratio.
Hi everyone, welcome to a new podcast. Today I'm thrilled to have Lakshmi Krishnan with us. Lakshmi is a program manager currently managing the merchant fulfill network for Amazon in Europe, where she drives key program and product initiatives to enhance the experience of third-party sellers. Prior to Amazon, she has also worked at Unilever for 3+ years. Lakshmi brings a wealth of knowledge in both technology and operations. Super excited to have you, Lakshmi, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Arnav, for having me, and thanks for the kind introduction.
So just to get things started, Lakshmi, right? So can you just share a bit about your career journey and what led you to become a program manager at Amazon?
I think I started off as a business intelligence engineer at Ford right after my engineering. And then that's when I realized that I was driven by role that put me closer to the end customer, which again made me move from tech to do my MBA at SPJMR. After MBA, I started out as a program manager in Unilever. I started my journey in sales and marketing. I moved to supply chain and cognitive automation. I did digital transformation projects. And when I was looking to move to Amazon, there is something that our former dean, Dr. Ranjan Banerjee, told me inspired. He said, whenever I'm trying to do something new, for instance, if I'm trying to teach a new course, I would teach this new course to a familiar set of audience. Or if I'm teaching a new set of audience, I'm going to pick a familiar course. And that is an approach that I took when I was applying for Amazon as well. So I was moving continents, I was moving industries from FMCG to e commerce. That's how my entire journey happened. And that's how I landed as a program manager at Amazon.
That's a very interesting journey for the listeners to listen to as well, because it covers the ambit of so many different things, right? And I think a very interesting thing which you mentioned in between was changing continents. So, a very simplistic question for us MBA folks: how does one from SPJMR Mumbai goes to Luxembourg and works over there?
How I approached this is I spoke to a lot of seniors who were working in industries in Europe to understand what is the skill set that is required. I tweaked my profile to suit those jobs. I applied a lot of jobs, applied for 300 odd positions, and I had a call back from three companies. That was the conversion ratio. So I would suggest that be persistent and keep trying and be very clear on what you want to achieve. More often than not, it is a very tough journey, but it's not impossible.
Wow, that's quite inspiring as well. So, when you're working in Luxembourg, right, you have witnessed working in India and in Luxembourg. What differences did you see in terms of work culture, in terms of cadence, and the people you work with?
There are a couple of observations from my experience. The first one, we lay a lot of emphasis on collaborative work culture, and this often leads to us having an interpersonal relationship with people that we work with, right, in India. However, in Luxembourg, there is still a lot of emphasis on this collaborative work or team culture, but the communication style is a lot direct, lot open, and the feedback is straight to your face, and which is something that I really appreciate.
Okay.
There is also another difference that I noticed: working dynamics. When it is in India, the boundary between work and personal life is not very well pronounced. But here in Luxembourg, there's a lot more emphasis, and in general in Europe, they trust you to do your job. And if it comes with you drawing boundaries between your personal and the professional space, it is appreciated.
Got it. With so many things happening in India as well, right? And with special emphasis to like the EY case and the other things which came to light, right? Where we are not able to demarcate between the personal life and the professional life, and finally the professional life gets hold of an employee. Do you think that the replaceability factor, right? What we say that if not you, then there are many other folks in India who can work. Does that also apply abroad?
Firstly, I think what happened at EY was very sensitive, and I want to acknowledge that the fear of being replaced exists everywhere. Having said that, there are other ways that you can combat this fear of being replaced, which is through upskilling yourself, understanding what are the key industry trends. Make sure that you do a certification, make sure you talk to industry experts, make sure you do e-learning, and try and do small projects which makes you a very skilled professional in your own domain, so that even if you are facing a problem of, let's say, layoffs or anything, you are skilled enough and you also have this experience which is going to help you land another job.
Got it. I think you're addressing a very important issue over here, that sometimes we tend to make the job our identity and then it remains the only thing which is in our life. So, as you mentioned, doing other things, diversifying, and having a passion with regard to your income source, that does make a difference. And I think it also, me starting this podcast, kind of a after effect of that thought. This gives me the motivation that, okay, job is there. I also become stressed in between, but still I have something to do on my own time, right?
Yeah.
Now, just taking you from this serious topic a bit and then to your more corporate experience, right? So, what exactly does a program manager do? And what are the skill sets you think a program manager should have?
So I believe the skill sets that are important are stakeholder management, your ability to prioritize according to the needs of the customer. And it also is important for you to take a step back, have a bird's eye view on what is the company's vision and how do you align your product or a program vision to this company's vision.
Got it. So I think a lot of stakeholder management, which you mentioned, and working with cross-functional teams. So it is not a one-man's effort, but rather a team effort, which makes program management successful. But person who wants to go into program management, suppose, right? But as a program manager, don't you think there are a lot of risks which are involved in terms of your own work? Because finally you have to drive everyone else as well, and then your timelines are also interlinked. So considering this risk factor, how do you think that if other people suppose are not cooperating at that point and still you have the timelines in, right? How do you manage such a situation?
So
Right.
there are two key aspects here which I feel is important. One is again staying very close to what your vision is, what the organization's vision is, and driving a shared sense of responsibility, shared goals with other partner teams. They are also passionate about driving this program or a project. They are completely sold on why you're doing this, how it makes a difference in the customer's life, how it is helping your business, and how is it helping the org move forward. There's a lot more collaboration and there's a lot more support.
Thanks for that answer. That makes a lot of sense. I just want like to understand what are the differences between your experience in Unilever, an FMCG company, and Amazon being such a fast-paced marketplace, right?
Let me start with the similarities first. Both the companies are very fast paced, result oriented. They're forward thinking when it comes to innovation. They are very data driven and customer centric. Having said that, the differences that I feel is that Unilever at its heart is a marketing company. So, more often than not, you will find exciting ideas coming from passionate individuals who are doing these sales pitch through presentations and storytelling.
Okay.
Amazon, on the other hand, is a lot of doc writing. There is no PPT culture at Amazon.
Wow. Yeah.
They want to take any emotion out of the decision making process. It is still data driven, but there are a lot of docs that we write on the ideas that we have, the proposals that we have, and it goes through a business and leadership reviews before it moves forward.
When you talk about Unilever and it being such a big brand and FMCG company, people normally don't tend to leave it. They say, okay, if I get into such a big company and with a very stable life, I will just retire from here. But one thing which I noticed in you is the risk appetite and the ambition. You went to Amazon, you changed countries as well. So, what would you suggest to the podcast listeners who are starting their corporate journey about risk taking in their early life?
I believe early years of your career, stages when you can, take a lot of risks. You might not exactly know what you want to do, but at least you can experiment and see what you don't want to do. You move out of your comfort zone, try something new, you build neural paths that is going to help you advance as a person as well as, take you closer to your growth and goals.
I think from your answer and from basis my limited experience, I think it's all about failing and failing faster, right? So sometimes you have to try multiple things to see where you fit correctly. Now, like having this corporate experience, right? Is there anything which you like look back upon and see that, okay, if this learning I had at the early of my career, then it would have helped me more?
When I started off professional, I was supercharged, okay, to prove myself and, to make it big in the corporate world,
Mm-hmm.
which meant I was saying yes to everything that came my way. I realized the importance of saying no. One. And saying no doesn't mean that you say no just because you don't want to do something. Saying no comes with the position of responsibility. You say no because you want to prioritize things that is going to help with the projects and programs that align with your company's vision. Which also brings me to another point. I used to be a shy person waiting for opportunities to come my way, saying yes to everything. Of late, I've realized that you have to go and ask for things that you feel inspired about and that you feel, you deserve.
That's a great insight. I think, in a nutshell, right, it is all about working smarter and not always working harder, right? So, even if you spend a lot of hours, but you're not doing inspiring work or meaningful work, that doesn't necessarily add to what you are as a corporate professional as well. Just before we finish the interview, Lakshmi, one question which I had was like, as young corporate professionals, right, we have so many internal stakeholders in office, and there is an element of office politics which is also involved, which we can't ignore, right? So, how do we navigate through that?
I think you rightly pointed this out. Unfortunately, politics is something that exists everywhere and it is unavoidable. Any group settings, be it professional or a personal setup, these dynamics come into play. And I feel it's a three-part puzzle. The first part being you doing your job right, you delivering results, and you achieving your goals for that particular year. That is the first part of the puzzle. And the
Mhm.
second part of the puzzle is identifying the right stakeholders who are important for your short term and your long term goal, and ensuring that these right stakeholders have visibility into the good work that you're doing. The last piece of the puzzle, I feel, is that these set of right stakeholders know what you want at the end of the day. And when you put all these three pieces together, you are better positioned to navigate politics in your, corporate life.
That's a very structured roadmap for navigating it through. And thanks for that, Lakshmi. I think we have exhausted all our questions. And thank you so much for elaborating upon your answers and answering so truthfully. I think a lot of us will benefit from this. So thank you again for joining this podcast and spending the time with us.
I had a good time chatting with you, and thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thank you.